Hello, hello. It's a brand new week. Summer's officially here, and I'm happy to say, well, at least it's not going to be 105 today. Let's talk about who's dealing with monsoonal rains, the risk of flooding, and more thunderstorm chances going into the week in this Monday edition of the Texas Weather Roundup. Hi there, it's Monday, the 23rd of June, 2025. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy-in-Chief, David Reimer. I'll give you a couple guesses as to why I'm called Baldy-in-Chief, but it has something to do with the fact I'm bald. Well, it is summer, and typically that means we have a lot less to talk about in the weather department, and well, that might be the case for some of y'all, but we still definitely have a lot to talk about in terms of heat, humidity, and the potential for rain across several parts of the state of Texas. Let's go ahead and get into it with the high-res rapid refresh model for this afternoon, tonight, into Tuesday. Today, we're expecting a pretty high coverage of thunderstorms across parts of the Borderland, far west Texas around El Paso, with a risk of heavy rain and flooding. That's thanks to moisture from remnant Hurricane Erick last week, and now a kickstart to the monsoon. You can see a lot of rain in New Mexico. They're going to be dealing with a pretty significant flooding threat today as well, as they deal with monsoonal moisture and a lot of rain over burn scars. Out in El Paso, you can see, guess what? We're going to have a lot of rain going into tonight as well. Flooding certainly possible in the El Paso region. Across the borderland in far west Texas, scattered to numerous thunderstorms. The Guadalupe Mountains, the Trans-Pecos, especially along west of the Trans-Pecos into the western parts of the Big Bend and the Davis Mountains. This afternoon, we also expect isolated scattered showers and storms. The Panhandle, West Texas, western parts of the Permian Basin, the Texas Gulf Coast, into the coastal bend, the coastal plains, southeast Texas, the Golden Triangle. A few of those showers may make a run at San Antonio and Austin late this afternoon before we get closer to sunset and we see the typical diurnal drop-off as we get past diurnal peak and we deal with, well, sunset and a loss of daytime heating. In terms of tomorrow, well, guess what? We're going to see another round of pop-up showers and storms along the coast, inland regions, and just like today, heavy rain, lightning, gusty winds. When thunder roars, go indoors. Welcome to summer, ladies and gentlemen. And the reason we're dealing with that, by the way, and dealing with some rain chances when sometimes in the summer we are hot and dry, well, guess what? We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Here's the Texas wildfire outlook from the Texas A&M Forest Service. With monsoonal moisture in place across the western parts of the state, we're looking at a minimum of wildfire danger. We're generally low to moderate in areas that were high to very high last week. So that's good news for y'all out west as moisture is increased. And for now, wildfire danger is fairly low. Here's the long-range American weather model, the global forecast system. I lied, it's actually the upper air pattern. Here's a look at the geopotential heights at 500 millibars. This is about halfway up the atmosphere, usually around 18,500 feet above sea level, but that can vary based on the amount of heat we have in place, as more heat typically is a bit more dense, and thus heights are a little higher. In this case, this is a great way for us to see in the summer months where we have the upper level area of high pressure in the heat dome. You can see that is centered over the northeastern and eastern United States over the next few days, which is why without that area of high pressure, sinking air and subsidence under it over Texas, we have these opportunities for scattered showers and storms. Going into later this week, you can see that upper level ridge, high pressure heat dome, weakens across the eastern United States. And while we definitely have some, it's hot, it's summer, we don't have the spaghetti-o mega heat dome of doom sitting on top of us. In fact, heading into the late week, early next week, through the weekend, we're not really seeing that real strong upper level heat dome reestablish itself. So that's why we're going to have a somewhat unsettled situation weather-wise across Texas, with some opportunity for isolated to scattered showers and storms. It's still seasonably warm. I mean, temperatures in the afternoon, we're still in the 80s and 90s, and it's more humid than I care for it to be. But, without that heat dome, it could be worse. For example, Boston, New York, Philly, down to Washington, D.C., guess what? They're all going to be in the triple digits the next few days, with humidity values producing heat index temperatures near 115 degrees. We're not dealing with that in Texas, thankfully, at this point. Will we at some point in the summer? Probably, but not yet. Here's a long-range American weather model of the global forecast system. As you can see, scattered shower and storm chances do continue in several regions of the state, especially during the afternoon and early evening hours over the next several days. You can see that activity, typically the most widespread, relatively or comparatively, during the afternoon hours, dies off pretty quick as we get near 7 to 8 p.m. Central Time, and then most nights are going to be fairly calm, humid, and warm heading into the weekend. Similar story. This model's not overly ambitious with that afternoon thunderstorm chances at this point, but we'll see. We will definitely start to chill out a bit in terms of the heavier rain potential in far western Texas later this week, which, it might be a little good for y'all. I mean, y'all need rain, obviously, and you mostly get it during the monsoon season, but at the same time, if we could spread it out a little and not have it all fall in the span of 3 days, that would probably help in terms of not causing a significant flooding event, like we may see today and tomorrow in New Mexico. So, over the next 5 days through Saturday, the 28th of June, the morning hours, you can see heaviest rains. We could be looking at over 4 inches of rain in parts of New Mexico. Maybe 1 to 3 inches of rain, El Paso, the borderland of far west Texas, generally along and west of the Trans-Pecos, Guadalupe, Davis Mountains, the Big Bend, maybe 1/2 inch to 2 inches of rain locally. And then you can see the best chance for rain with afternoon tropical shower and storm activity. Southeast Texas, the coastal plains, the Golden Triangle. Some of y'all could get a quick couple inches of rain. Now, it's not going to be as widespread as what this map shows. This is just a broad brush regional look at it all. But yeah, it's going to rain. For some of y'all, you can see I hate to use the term losers, but the not winning rainfall department. There we go. Generally looking to be North Texas, Texoma, and Northwest Texas through the Big Country, the Concho Valley, down into the Edwards Plateau. It's through 7 a.m. Saturday. You can see heavier rains across the Great Plains, the Northern Plains, up into the Great Lakes, and eventually later this week, the northeastern United States, when that heat dome begins to break down. Here's the tropical weather outlook for the Atlantic, Caribbean Gulf over the next 7 days. We do note, actually, a subtropical storm. It's just kind of a half-tropical system, half whatever. Subtropical is what they call it. It really doesn't matter for the purpose of this video. Out over the open Atlantic, looks like we are going to see that try to develop. If it does, it may become our first named system of the year briefly. But conditions become much more hostile by tomorrow, and whatever out there is going to get shredded to bits by Tuesday and Wednesday. But hey, first cherry of the year we get to look at here in the Atlantic Basin, I believe. Definitely probably the only one we're going to see over the next several days for the rest of June. Nothing that is going to impact us here in the United States, Caribbean, or the Gulf. Temperatures over the next 5 days going into this afternoon. High temperatures in the 80s, Panhandle, West Texas, out to the borderland of far West Texas. Still 93 in El Paso this afternoon, even with rain chances, though I'd expect it to cool off once the rain really gets going. We're looking at mid to upper 90s, eastern 2/3 of Texas. It's either going to be that way in the temperature department or in the heat index department. Take your pick. Either way, welcome to summer. Heading into Tuesday, high temperatures upper 70s in the Guadalupe and Davis Mountains, 80s western quarter of the state, eastern 75% of Texas, 88 to 98 degrees Fahrenheit. Going into Wednesday, same story. It's hot, it's humid, and that's not going to change anytime soon. Thursday, we start to warm up a little bit here across the Edwards Plateau, up through Central Texas, North Texas, Northwest Texas, the Big Country, and the Permian Basin. Upper 90s, getting closer to temperatures in the triple digits. And then on Friday, we're getting real close to 100 degrees in places like Vernon, Wichita Falls, DFW, all the way down I-35, through Laredo del Rio, out into the Permian Basin on I-20, Sweetwater, Odessa, Midland. Couple degrees short of 100. It's going to get hotter. And then out west in the Davis Guadalupe Mountains, still 80s in the higher terrain, about 90 degrees in El Paso. Here's the long range Climate Prediction Center precipitation outlook. Now, June 30th through July 6th, yes, that includes Independence Day. They've got a pretty large area of slightly above average precipitation chances. Again, typically we're not all that wet here in the summer, so even when we have these scattered pop up showers and storms, that can kind of lean heavily into this and make it look a little wetter than it's going to be. We'll see. So don't think that, it's going to get rained out. No, at this point, no. But, it's better than being 5 shades below average in terms of precipitation chances and, being in extreme drought. So, hey, I guess we'll take it. That's going to be it for your Monday edition of Texas Weather Roundup. Thank you for joining us. And as always, a big shout out to all the members here on the Texas Weather Center that help support us and bring you this daily weather content, plus live severe weather coverage and all that stuff when we have active weather going on. We'll keep an eye on those storms and flooding chances out west today. We'll have some updates on that as activity gets going this afternoon and evening. The Monsoon Department. You can keep an eye on the sky with the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile app. Just search for Texas Storm Chasers where you download apps to your device. Get your local weather forecast, interactive weather radars across the entire United States, even some international destinations it works in. And otherwise, you know what? We'll see you again bright and early tomorrow, Tuesday. Y'all have an amazing day. Stay cool. God bless. We'll chat with you later.